So basically, Welcome to the NHK is a slice of life which is based around the life of Tatsuhiro. He's a 22-year-old hikikomori who hasn't gotten a job and feels that the world around him is all a conspiracy controlled by an organization called the NHK. Throughout watching the anime, I really got frustrated at some of Sato's actions, but like when you start to see his thinking patterns and you get insight on how he thinks, his actions are very in line with his mindset. Ever since he was a kid, he was always known to run away from his problems and not take accountability for them, and he just never really grew out of that, and it's something that's been with him since he was a child. Although I do say that his actions are in line with his mindset, he is very easily manipulated, and he sometimes will contradict and doubts himself, like in his actions throughout the series. He was literally like manipulated into committing suicide even though he didn't want to. He did not want to commit suicide, but he was just going with it because like it was a group of people. He literally got socially pressured to commit suicide with him, but in the end it didn't end up happening. It's a great anime. It can just be frustrating to watch if you're somebody who has like decent mental health, but you have to understand the character's mindset, and so we can really all stem this down due to the fact that he has been a hikikomori for a while. His mental health is just pure garbage, and so the series is basically him fighting to get out of the hikikomori state that he's in and slowly gradually work his way back into society. I'm gonna get straight to the point. There was a pivotal point in the show which, after Sato had no longer had any money coming from his parents, he no longer had any food, he realized that the only way of surviving at this point was to actually go and make changes and get a job. They explained that because Sato had his very basic needs met, he was allowed to live such a luxurious life of not having any responsibility for doing anything. And honestly, it's unfortunate, but sometimes in order to make significant changes in our lives, we have to know what it's like to almost lose it all, like be on the brink of losing basic human needs. So I think the anime did a great job at highlighting the issues that a person that is a hikikomori has, and the mental problems and mental health of them, their thoughts, what kind of mindset they have. It was very interesting to see that sort of thing. Sato had a lot of like depression, anxiety, and stress, and rarely did we ever get to see him have joy except towards the ending of the anime, and I believe it's largely due to the way that we think and our mindset and our life situations as well. And so that brings me to the importance of mental health. So some of the benefits of improving your mental health is reduced stress, depression, and anxiety, deeper focus, better discipline, higher overall happiness, and through that you can even improve your relationships and friendships. And I also want to point out that mental health and your mind step is like step 0 to reaching success in anything. We're constantly flooding our minds with thoughts, whether they're negative or positive, whatever it is. There's always static playing in our brains via the thinking. We're always observing and consuming the world around us, but we never stop to observe our own minds. We're always looking externally for solutions, but we rarely ever consider that what we need is already inside of us. So I think sometimes it's important to step back from the constant thinking of the past and the future in order to focus on like what is in the moment. I know it might sound like a kind of mumbo jumbo, like a whole bunch of nonsense, but we get caught up in a lot of like day-to-day life situations, and it can cause anxiety, stress, and depression. But one thing I've started to realize is that my thoughts don't have to necessarily represent like who I am. Just because I have an urge to go fap or an urge to eat junk food, that doesn't mean that is who I am, and I don't have to act on that because of that realization, for example. So I think once you can start to live more in the moment, in the present, you will have to deal with less stress, anxiety, and depression because you simply won't be worried about those things, and you'll be able to solve those things with a more clear mind. So I want to go into some of the things that I've learned which has helped me improve my mental health, and I've been doing these things since about the start of the year. So I want to keep it just simple. 3 things that you can do today that you can start right now in order to improve your mental health. So the first thing I started doing was meditation, which is kind of exactly what I just talked about. It is observing your thoughts and being more mindful of the moment right now. So being present in the moment, it helps you deal with the stress and anxiety over the past and future issues. So I've been meditating. I started off watching Russell Branson's video. I'll link it down in the description. It was like a guided meditation. I really like Russell Branson. He's a pretty awesome actor and YouTuber. The next thing that I can say, which has really improved my mental health, is my journaling. I've been doing these things ever since like close to the beginning of the year. What journaling has allowed me to do is there's a few ways you can use journaling, but the main way that I've used it is to, again, observe my thinking and really hone down on what some of my core beliefs and values are as a person and my own thinking patterns. Really learning about myself. I've been exploring like my deeper thoughts, like getting to know my thinking patterns, negative thoughts and positive thoughts, just observing how I feel. I've also used that to express gratitude for my relationships, for the situations that I'm in, for the people around me. I'll tell you what this has done really well for me. Journaling has done really well to see what I would like to improve on next. You know, with self-improvement, we're always want to be improving. That's the whole thing, self-improvement. So journaling has really allowed me to focus on and find the things that really matter the most for me to improve at the moment. So for example, I wanted to start this Nori channel. So the first thing I did was read How to Win Friends and Influence People. And through that, I've been able to kind of hone down my, communication skills and leadership skills, and something I'm still developing to this day. But that's an example of something that I learned that I needed to do through journaling and thinking about starting this YouTube channel. And so journaling also good for goal setting as well. So all around, I think journaling is just amazing for you. So the next thing and the last thing I want to talk about is some sort of physical exercise and or stimulation in nature. I won't even get into the aspect of like self-control and discipline because that's like a given with physical exercise. But I would say really when I think of physical exercise, I think more of like cardio. And I do cardio quite a bit. And one thing I can say, I have done cardio. Like I used to run 2 miles a day, like every other day. I used to run. I used to like do cardio. So whenever I think of physical exercise, the first thing that comes to mind is almost a meditative state, because when you put your music in and you're running, you're not, I wouldn't say you're necessarily present, because you're definitely less present because you're listening to music. But it's almost like let's say like a therapy session. I really think that physical exercise can be like a therapy session, because like when you're running and it's just you and your music, there's nothing else. There is nothing else. Like you're in your own world. You're just, I wouldn't say you're in the present, because you're not really aware of your surroundings around you. Like you're in your own little pocket dimension, which can be a good and bad thing. I don't really like recommend running around with headphones blasting music on your ear. It's quite dangerous, but it allowed me to kind of be in my own space. I don't live home alone, so it kind of gave me space to just expend up some of that energy in a good way that I had from, you know, being on NoFap and just being really energetic. You know, I never run out of energy. Physical exercise is a good way to disperse that energy in a productive way, I feel. And also another thing, I have kind of replaced this cardio with just going and walking out in like a trail or the woods. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do throughout the day is just go and walk outside, just observe nature. It's just beautiful. So we've got meditation for being mindful and being present throughout the day. We've got journaling in order to learn your thinking patterns, setting goals, expressing gratitude, and learning what you want to improve in life. And we've got physical activity for living in your own body, I would say, and expending your energy in a productive way. So those three they may sound very basic, and it's nothing new. I'm not saying that I'm making anything groundbreaking or anything new. But throughout doing these habits for the past few months, I've noticed quite a significant change in my overall relationships with, you know, my friends and my family. And I've also been able to improve myself like almost at an accelerated rate. I've been really happy and joyful. I can honestly never say I've had a bad day. It's worth giving a shot, you know, just to see for yourself, see how you work out with it. Just go in with an open mindset. Even though this advice may sound cliche or like really old to you, I think that once you start to pull away from a lot of these highly stimulating activities like video games and porn, junk food, and all of that sex and stuff, these things become more enjoyable. And they lead to almost a more fulfilling and enjoyable life. So that was my video, guys. You know what I say, believe in me who believes in you, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.